All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Makah Kodash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Um, Yesterday I did a video, answering one of the brothers' questions on the comment board, going into precept upon precept, and I actually mentioned, I brought up a precept in the book of Genesis, and I touched a little bit on the the creation, okay? And I'm just gonna do a video just going into it, clearing it up, all right, in the sense of or not really clearing it up, but going into it, okay. That's why you see in the title, the Most High basically physically himself create the heavens and the earth. Well, we're gonna get some understanding of that, all right, because when you read here, like it says in Genesis 1:1, if you were to just read it throughout, your initial thought would be yes, but when you read it with understanding, all right, you'll find out that, oh, okay, there's much deeper than what meets the eye, okay? Because the Bible, sometimes there's certain precepts in there that mean something other than what is written, okay? But you need to have the understanding in order to get that, okay? And this is why you have to study. This is why you have to know a little bit of the Hebrew, a little bit of the Greek, and so on and so forth, okay? Because I'll give you an example. When dealing with the Bible, okay, when dealing with certain scriptures, you have to look into the because you got to understand we're reading it in English, but originally we know that the scriptures were not written in English. This what we're reading right here was written in Hebrew, translated into English. All right, Salakia, translated into English. Okay, so there's certain words in there because English being a bastard tongue, there's certain words in there that you need to go back to the Hebrew to see what it actually means. Okay, because there's certain words that in another language you have three or four different words that'll translate all into one word in the English language. All right. An example being the word world. All right. The word world, when you read in John 3:16, in English, it says what? For God so loved the world. But they're being translated from the Greek. There are three different words, all right, for world in the Greek. Okay, so how do you know which word goes there? You won't know unless you actually look it up. Okay, you look up the Greek and see which word exactly was there, because you have the word oikoumene, which is Greek for everything in existence, the whole inhabited earth. You have cosmos, all right, which is a particular a group or a government or arrangement, all right, and you have the word eon in the sense of an age. Now these three different words all translate to that same one word in English, which is world. So when reading the scripture, you need to go back and see, is it in the world in the sense of cosmos? Is it world in the sense of oikoumene? Is it world in the sense of eon? Which one is it? And once you find that out, you can plug that into the precept and get the understanding of it. Because cosmos would be something like how they say the baseball world, okay? When they have something called a World Series, right? Now that doesn't include all of everything in existence, but it's world in a cosmos sense because it's the world of baseball. Okay. So it's the same thing in John 3:16, for God so loved the world, but he's talking about the world of Israel. You wouldn't understand that unless you look up that word there. So now we're going to do that same thing here in Genesis 1 verse 1. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, when you go into the Hebrew, okay, what's really written there will be bara ashiath Allah, and I'm translating this word for word. Alahayim bara ha shemayim waha rataza. All right. So in the beginning, bara ashiath Alahayim. We're gonna come back to this word God here because that's the main topic here. Bara created ha the heaven shemayim, wa and ha the arataza earth. Okay. It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, let's look this word up here because God, okay, in the Hebrew is plural. As you're reading here in Genesis 1 and 1, it says God, but really should say gods. Why? Because when you look up the word God here and you match it up with its Hebrew correspondent, it's La Ha Yum. All right. The Ya and the Ma, okay, they combine. So that then you have to drop off the A at the end of the M. So instead of Allah Ha Ya Ma, all right, the Ya and the Ma come together, making a Yum. Okay. And that Yum at the end of the word is what makes it plural. All right. Just like you have the word brother, which is Ach. And then when you say Achyam, it's brothers, because the Yum makes it plural. So we understand that when you read it in the book of Genesis 1 and 1, the word for God is plural. So we know it's not talking about the Most High God alone or him physically. Now let's click on it and get the definition of the word God. Because the word God is a word that means something. It's not a name. Okay? Neither is Allah. Allah is just the Hebrew word of saying God. It's not a name. So like it says, plural. Okay? Allahayim. Allahayim. All right? It's plural for rulers or judges or divine ones or angels or gods. So with that sense, you can say it can either be talking about the Most High God, it could be talking about the angels because they're a form of a God. It could be talking about the Messiah, Yahushua, because he's a form of a God, or it could be talking about Israelites because we're forms of gods. Psalms 82 and 6, ye are gods. All right. So Allahayim is plural. So now let's go back into the book of Genesis, all right, and read it with the understanding. So in the beginning, the gods or the powers, because that's what it means, power. All right. A judge has power. A divine one has power. They are powers. All right. It didn't say the most high power. All right. But it says in the beginning, the powers or the gods created the heaven and the earth. All right. So when you jump down to verse 3, it says, and God said, really should say, and the powers said, let there be light, and there was light. Because the Most High didn't just roll up his sleeves and get off his throne and he started cultivating and planting and do no. But what he did was he gave the command, he gave the order, he gave the blueprints, and then Yahushua, along with the elect and the rest of the angels, went, all right, and over the span of a complete 7,000 years, they created, okay, the world. Okay. Now we're gonna get another priest, and um that's why it says here, Genesis 1 and 26, and God said, let us make man in our image. But hold up, us. Who is that us? If it was God by himself, the Most High by himself, who is he talking to? Who's the us? You know why? Because when you read it with understanding, it says, and the powers said, let us. Then it makes sense. The pronoun makes sense because the word God is plural. Therefore, the pronoun will be us. Okay? And the powers said, let us make man in our image. What man? An Israelite man. After our likeness. Okay? By the orders of the Most High, Yahushua, and the angels, okay, went and actually did the creation. Now I'm going to get a couple more precepts to drive that point home. So this is Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. The Most High, who at sundry times and divers manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son. Who was his Son? Yahushua, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom, check this out, also he made the worlds. Okay? So the worlds were made by who? Yahushua. All right. Another precept that you can use to back that up is Colossians 1 and 15. All right. Actually, I'll start at verse 14. 12. It says first Colossians 1 and 12. It says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness, and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. So now we're talking about his son, in whom we have redemption through his blood. Whose blood? Yahweh's blood, because he went on the cross. All right. Even the forgiveness of sins. That's why he went on the cross. Acts 5 and 31. It tells you that. Colossians 1 and 15. Who is the image of the invisible God? Okay. When you read in Hebrews, it tells you he is the express image. That means he looks just like the Father. Okay. Because Yahushua was the first spirit created by the Father, and from then the Most High gave him the blueprints, and along with the angels, they went and created everything. All right. It says, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? Check this out. For by him were all things created. So they were created by who? By Yahushua, and that are in heaven, and that are in earth. Now let's jump up again. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Colossians 1 and 15. By him, 16. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. Okay? Because the Most High, all right, through Yahweh and the angels created everything. Now, that's like if you build a house, right? They call it your house. If somebody drives by, oh, that's such and such's house. Now, you didn't physically go and hew timber and get the construction and all that and do it physically, but it's your house. You said, I want this here. I want it to look like this. You gave the blueprints. But who physically did it? It was construction workers, right? But who does the credit go to? It goes to you. It's your house. So you could say, oh, I remember when I have a house, I built a house in New York and I have another one in Jersey, da da da. But literally it wasn't you who did it. Okay. So it's sort of like that. Okay. Now let me get one more precept. With me. All right, this is John chapter 15, verse 27. It says, and ye also 26. And but when the comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. Now, to the naked eye or the carnal mind, you thinking, well, yeah, because Yahushua recruited his disciples from the beginning, when he first started his ministry. But spiritually, he was really talking about the foundation of the earth, because that's when the elect were ordained. The elect were predestined from the foundation of the earth, of the world. All right. And the disciples, with the exception of Judas Iscariot, were of the elect. Okay. And they were with the Lord from the beginning. Okay. And through the process of reincarnation, they were back with him during 2,000 years ago. Okay. And so they were part of those first fruits. All right. Part of those first spirits created that also created the world. All right. Um, Jude, let me see. Kept not their first. All right. Now this is Jude 1 and 6. But also let me get sinful flesh. All right. So this is Jude chapter 1, verse 6. It says, and the angels which kept not their, because the elect are also angels. Okay. The angels, the word angel just means messenger. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, hath he reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Now those everlasting chains represent these bodies that we in. All right, these carnal bodies, this mortal sinful flesh that we're in. All right. And when we became mortal, we got locked up and shackled in these chains. Okay. And since then we've been locked in here ever since. Okay. Being subject, because when you're chained, you're restricted. You can't do what you really want to do to the fullest. And that's what this flesh does. It shackles us and restricts our spirit from doing righteousness to the fullest. That's why the scriptures say the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. All right. So this is referring to the elect, okay, being now put in these mortal, sinful, fleshly bodies, which is represented by those chains under darkness, until the judgment of the great day, because that's when the Lord is going to change our bodies and we're going to be freed from this. All right. And now I'm going to get one last precept to explain what those chains are. All right. Romans 8 verse 3. It says, "For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the Most High sending His own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh." All right. So that sinful flesh was those is the same thing as those chains of darkness. However, that's why Yahushua is so great, because he wasn't overcome by those chains. Even though he came into these chains of darkness, he still didn't sin, and thus over defeated sin and defeated death. And that's why he is who he is. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Okay. Just straight to the point. Lord's willing, this was edifying unto the elect. This is why, like the scriptures say, you have to study, and you don't have to be a fluent Hebrew speaker or a fluent Greek or whatever. You just have to know at least a little bit of certain words so you can understand the scriptures better. Okay. And you don't just read it and just take it as it is. Sometimes you have to look into the word, look into the Hebrew, look into the Greek to get the full understanding of it. All right. So with that, I hope this was edifying unto the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makah Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.